Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Inspired Podcast. Today, I have a special guest joining us today to really talk about what it means to rewire your brain to really process unresolved emotions, what those can do to our body. And we're going to talk about what happens when you're living with chronic pain, when you're living with a chronic health crisis, what that might be telling you in terms of how you might need to realign your life. So today with me is Ashley Crossan. Ashley is a neuro-linguistic practitioner and energy healer who helps people release stress, overcome overwhelm, and create change that people will feel immediately. With a background in holistic health, Ashley takes a mind, body, spirit approach to help people feel more balanced, empowered, and aligned. Her journey began with her own healing experience. After facing significant health challenges, Ashley became passionate about understanding the deeper connections between the mind, body, and soul. What started as a personal quest to reclaim her own well-being evolved into a mission to help others reclaim their vitality as well. I'm so excited to have Ashley on the show today and excited to learn also from her experience and how that might be able to help the rest of us. Ashley, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, so you and I have connected before. We have a lot in common in terms of kind of the spiritual sort of parallels in terms of how we approach our spiritual journey. But I want to start by really giving the listeners an idea of your story. Tell us, how did this all come about for you? Where were you? When was this? Where did this journey kind of start with you and how? And then to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. This journey started, it was about 9 years ago, and I was really sick with chronic illness. I was in and out of hospitals, doctor's offices. I needed infusions, medications, all of that type of stuff. While the infusions helped me and saved my life, like I almost died, that which obviously super grateful for that it saved me, but it never got to the actual root cause and never actually got me better. It just was managing to make me be alive. um and yeah, so long story short, I got into holistic health. I remember seeing stuff online about holistic health, and I saw other people's stories which resonated. I know you and I were talking before about how, it's nice to see somebody that's actually been through stuff and what they kind of take from it and whatnot. And that's kind of what got me into this, honestly, was seeing other people that overcame similar stuff. And I was like, how'd they do that? So I started looking more and more into it, deep dove, just was constantly learning, became really familiar in herbalism and detoxing the physical body through, food that we can get right from the grocery store. It wasn't necessarily like all these pills and potions that they have out there. It was pretty simple stuff. And I was like, could it really be that simple? And so I started diving into that more, detoxed my body. And long story short, I got better. My symptoms got better. I felt better. I got off of medications. And at one point in my journey, I remember crying in bed because I was in so much pain. And I prayed to God for the first time in a really long time. And I said, if there's any truth to this, and if I get better, then I'm having goosebumps right now as I'm talking about this. But if there's any truth about this, and if I get better, then I promise I'll help as many people that I can on their journeys too. So I ended up getting better. And when I got better, that obviously became a passion of mine, holistic health in general. I became a holistic health coach and I helped people detox their bodies the same type of way that I was detoxing. And people had amazing results. I was in my prime health wise. I felt really good. I was off all medications, all that type of stuff. And yeah, people were having great results. And then you fast forward and COVID happened, and I started not feeling good, and it was what they consider like long haul COVID. And I ended up detoxing and healing that as well holistically again. I got better from that. And I was like, okay, well, I know what to do now. It's like similar to, stuff from before. I'm educated in this area. Let's, work on this. So I did. And I got better and it was, fine. And then fast forward a little bit longer and I got bit by a tick and I got Lyme's disease. And I also was going through a breakup from a 7-year relationship at the same time. So mentally, I was just like not okay. Um, and I was like, okay, why does this have to happen? Like all these different thoughts are going through. And I was like, okay, well, I did the same type of stuff again. And I did get better from a lot of stuff, but then it kind of plateaued that time. And so I was like, okay, well, holistic health is treating the mind, body, and spirit. I'm really familiar with the body and, detoxing and that type of stuff. And I was familiar with the mind, like, in terms of how we speak and stuff like that. I was familiar with that, but not to the extent that I want it to be. So I went back and I started studying again. I became a hypnotist and neurolinguistics practitioner, studied a bunch of different energy modalities, Reiki master, as well as other stuff. And I just started implementing everything on myself to see what was working and what wasn't. And somewhere in between all of the studying that I've done and everything, like it's all amazing stuff. It's definitely beneficial, absolutely. But somewhere between everything that I've done, everything I studied, I started doing stuff on myself that I was never taught. And this part it can sound a little woo woo, if you will, in the sense of, yeah, but that's energy work, right? And it was just me tuning in, and I do hear messages. I'm clairaudient, if people are familiar with that. And I was like, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing right now, but I know it's working
Mhm.
and it's helping. And I was kind of confused at that point because I was just like, I don't even know, like, am I supposed to do this on other people? And so what I did is I got a bunch of people as case studies. That's what you do when you're trying to figure stuff out. And I was like, can I work on you for free and just use you as a case study to see, like, this is helping me drastically. I need to see if this is helping other people too. And, people let me do it, and they all had really amazing results as well. And it really started with, at this point in my journey, it started with the overwhelm, the stress levels, and all of that. And I was able to get people. So I give people a scale from 0 to 10. 0 meaning I feel completely fine and neutral about a situation, and 10 meaning I'm either really mad and livid, really, or really anxious, or really sad. Whatever the worst case scenario is, 10 being the worst. So I tell them, pick something that you're at a 10, and they do. And then we talk about it. And then after we talk about it, they would lay down and I would do energy work on them. And then by the time that they've gotten up, everyone I've ever worked on so far has always been at a 0 after just the one session.
And it
So,
just to jump in here for a second. So when you're doing
mhm,
these sessions, is this virtual?
yes. So
So
energy is energy.
yeah, so
Go
what
ahead.
I
I'm
want
sorry.
to understand and let's dig into that for a second because I do think that for some people it's confusing. It's like, well, don't you have to put your hands on me or don't you have to like be in the same room as me to feel my energy? Like how does energy work in such a way that would allow you to remotely, connect with someone energetically? When you say energy as energy, I think it's maybe not always intuitive that you don't have to be together in the same place to
Yeah.
feel someone's energy.
Absolutely. You don't have to be like me talking right now, you talking right now. Like we're technically exchanging energy just by having conversation. And the Wi-Fi router, right? Like that's energy. There's energy in everything. There's energy behind literally everything. So like our words are energy, right? So if people are familiar with like law of attraction and stuff like that, that's like speaking things into existence, which that's a whole other topic, but it's the quantum field essentially. It's quantum physics. So, and speaking of law of attraction, not to get like too off topic or anything, but we all have a field and we're all like, if say that we want something and we want to manifest something, we can broadcast that out throughout our field and it goes out into like the universe and all of that type of stuff. And then stuff comes back. But what happens is a lot of people are dense. There's a lot of density. And what quantum physics shows is that when there's a lot of density, it takes longer for people to get said thing, like whatever you're trying to manifest. So by clearing out the density, which is essentially what I'm doing in the sessions, is anything that makes you at a 10 or anything other than a 0, that's stuff that's stuck in the body somewhere. So the more stuff we can get out of that, the quicker you're going to manifest, if you want to call it manifest. Everybody has different words. Like, I'm somebody that I believe in God and everything, but I also believe in science and, manifestation and everything. I believe that it can all coexist. But yeah, everybody has their own thing. But the fact is that regardless of what you believe, you want to get rid of whatever that density is, because then it opens you up more to receiving all the good stuff.
Yeah. So let's talk about chronic pain for a second and like what you
Mhm.
learned about chronic pain. I think there are millions of people out there today that are suffering in some way or another with chronic pain. Now, maybe it's for a season or maybe it's chronic enough that this is, most of their life. And sadly, there are people really just battling that. And that is
Mhm.
debilitating. I've gone through seasons of my life when I've had pain for, periods of time, and even for short periods of time. And when I say short, like a few months at a time, which felt like a million years. I mean, a
Mhm.
day or 2 days or 3 days in a row with chronic pain is so debilitating to the mind, body, and I can imagine to the spirit too. What did you learn about pain when you were learning how to kind of navigate through that? Did you find that it was unresolved stuff that was causing that perhaps, or were these just outside random events that were creating pain that you used your spirituality to combat?
Yeah, so um the whole holistic approach, the mind, body, spirit, like I believe it's all important. So I do believe that physical part in the terms of like the detoxing in the body and stuff, that definitely helped me, especially in that beginning part of my journey. But when I got Lyme after the tick bite and whatnot, and I was doing all that stuff, and it wasn't enough that time. And so when I started doing the energy work, that was like the missing piece to the puzzle, right? So, like, when we're talking about chronic illness and stuff, there can be all different types of things. It's not going to be the same for everybody. Even if people have the same quote unquote disease, like whether it's fibromyalgia or whatever it is, like one person with fibromyalgia, the like root cause is going to be different than somebody else with fibromyalgia.
Wow.
So, what I'm able to do is I'm able to tune into each specific person and see specifically what their body needs. So, like Jane Doe is going to need something completely different than like Bob William. So, tuning into them and then doing the energy work on them specifically and tailored to them. And then stuff will come up and then they'll be like, oh, that makes sense. Like, whatever ends up coming up, it usually always resonates.
It's so funny because I feel like it's such an interesting time to be alive right now, I feel like. And we're sort of
Yeah.
in this time, I'm sure you can relate to this, where it just feels like there's an appetite for kind of this spiritual conversation that's just starting to grow kind of exponentially. It feels like, at least to me, maybe because I'm just like tied into it, so I see it more, but it also feels like there's some of these conversations about how feelings get stuck in the body is becoming a bit more of a mainstream idea than it has been in the past. Do you find that to be the
Mhm.
case?
Yeah, I feel like more and more people are becoming more aware and more open to the idea. And I know, like, for example, I had someone who I worked on, and she was like, she had amazing results. So she was like, I want my husband to do this, but he's going to think I'm crazy. And I was like, well, just tell him to get one session. The worst case scenario, he never comes back. Like, he doesn't have to get a package or anything. Tell him to try it one time. If he doesn't like it, that's at least he tried it.
Yeah.
So he came and he was definitely, she was right. He was very skeptical. He was like, oh, this mumbo jumbo or and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, like, that's fine. Like, your wife wants you to be here. You're here. So let's just take it, advantage of this time and see how it goes for you. And so we started talking about stuff. And then I worked on him and he ended up buying a package after that because he was like, "This stuff actually works." And I'm like,
What was he
"Yeah."
dealing with? Like, can you share kind of a little bit about what that transformation looked like for him in that short time?
Yeah, so he was somebody that was dealing with a lot of, like, anger issues, like, he would just get, like, annoyed at stuff really easily, and he would be very quick to like, not anything aggressive or anything like that, but he would get mad easily. And what happens is like, say you have a cup of water and then the water's all like filled to the tippy top. When something happens and you're exposed to something or something, even if it's something minute, like something that wouldn't bother other people, if your cup is so filled to the top, any little thing, it's going to cause an overflow in not a good way.
Yeah.
So whenever little things would happen, it would set him off. So what we did in the session is we got that water and we pushed it down. We cleared it out. So his cup was essentially empty. And then when stuff happens now, and not to say, which is why he got a package, right? Because it's like peeling an onion. I tell people it's like peeling an onion. You want to peel the layers. You'll see a result from the very first session. And like everybody has that I've worked with so far has seen results from the very first session. That doesn't mean there aren't other layers to peel. So
So
that, which is why he
essentially
got the package.
so
But go ahead.
essentially, he would then look at the same issue. So it's something that would make him angry. That's like
Hmm.
he would have a session, and then that same thing that was making him angry is suddenly not making him so angry anymore. Is that kind of what you mean? Just like
Exactly. Exactly.
reacting to this thing, maybe
What?
be more of an observer of the thing versus in the
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I don't want to talk specifically about his situation because I don't have permission from him, but I do have permission from other people. So I will use some examples from those people. So one example was a woman that came to me and she was not in the best place with her mother-in-law. And anytime she saw her mother-in-law lived like across the street from her and her husband. And
Close.
so it was very a very tricky situation. And she's like, anytime I see her like come outside, like her heart started racing. She would like have to go inside because she's like, I don't like, she would just like freak out. Like she would start getting anxiety. And so we did work and like she's like, even when I just see the car driving by and know that she's coming, or even when I know she's coming over, like she would just have like a physical reaction to it. And so we did work. And then literally after we did work on her, she texted me. She made a video testimony as well. There's a bunch of video testimonies on my website. But yeah, she was just like, I saw her car coming and I feel completely fine. Like she's like, this stuff doesn't stress me out. Like she doesn't stress me out anymore. Like knowing that she's coming over doesn't, she just feels neutral. Like I'm not saying that you're going to be like, oh, yay, I'm so excited she's coming, but you're not going to have that reaction where you're like having that heart pounding and stuff like that. And like another example, I'll just go with one more for right now, but somebody else had her Fitbit on and her heart was racing and she was having anxiety at the beginning of the session and her blood pressure was up. Her blood pressure had been up for multiple days and she couldn't get it down. And she was eating clean and everything. Her diet was clean. And she was like, I don't understand why my blood pressure is up. So we did work on her and people can process after their session for a few days. So within, I believe it was 3 days, her blood pressure was completely fine. However, right after the session, her blood pressure already went down right after the session. It wasn't in normal range yet, but it went down for the first time in a while. And her heart rate went down for the first time in a while. So it's tangible things that people can notice. Like, I know some people, they come to me and they're like, I've done energy work before. I know I need to wait for like certain amounts of time, like sessions to get a result. And I can't like say like for every single person, but what I can say is every single person that I've worked on so far has seen a result from the first session. You don't have to wait multiple sessions to see. If you get multiple sessions, a lot of other stuff's going to change in a good way.
Mhm.
However, everybody that I've worked on so far has noticed a difference after just one session. And that's tangible results, things that you can literally see a difference. I've helped people with phobias. I've helped people with anxiety. I've helped people with depression. I'm not saying the depression is going to go away overnight, but certain like things, like for the example, that woman that couldn't see her mother-in-law, she could see her mother-in-law be completely fine pretty quickly.
Yeah. I've experienced this myself, and it is one of those, and I was skeptic, huge skeptic.
Yeah.
I think you and I were chatting another earlier, and I was explaining, my path to all of this was from a place of wanting to build a business. As an entrepreneur, from the quantum field, from quantum physics, how can that from like a lever of manifestation and rewiring limited beliefs, and so I kind of came at it that way, which is based in science now, but and I think there's increasing evidence, scientific evidence and even historical evidence that suggests that this is not a new idea. This has been around for thousands of years, that it's tried and true and tested, that there's just hundreds of thousands, millions of stories the over the course of time that it validates like exactly what you're saying, right? But it's a totally different thing to like in your own body feel a shift, right? It just
Yes.
sounds like complete ridiculousness sometimes until there's actually a physical shift in the body. And I think that for me was like when I was like so true. At that point, it's like truth is truth. Someone can believe me or not believe me. It kind of doesn't matter because I feel
Right.
better. You know,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
fascinating. It's
Yeah.
really fascinating. And so I do find it interesting for those, especially individuals living with chronic pain, or, because at that point, there has to be a feeling of like, what do I have to lose? Did you feel like that? Did you get to a point like that?
Yeah. So when I was really sick, the initial first time, I was just like, I'll do whatever I have to do. Like, because the initial first time, like I said, that was all about me like detoxing physically. And I know some people are like, oh, I could never eat like that. And I was like, I was at a point that I was literally, I would do anything.
Right.
I didn't even question it. I was like, if this is going to help me, absolutely. But yeah, I think the great thing about energy work is that you can see results pretty, like it speeds everything up even quicker. So like detoxing the body, I'm still a big obviously believer in that. But the energy work really speeds everything up even more. Like the one program client that I have is coming to mind, and I do have permission from her for to talk about her stuff. She was dealing with like debilitating stuff. She didn't want to like leave the house. She couldn't like eat, like she would get like anxiety just eating. She was diagnosed with autism. She had a whole bunch of stuff happening, and she's a program client, so she was getting a session once a week, and we peeled those layers, and she's a completely different person. Everybody that's a has been a program client of mine is a completely different person, because when you're getting multiple sessions, you're really like you're just peeling the layers after layer rather than just like one session where it's a big layer, which is amazing. But you do multiple sessions, it's remarkable. She had blood in her urine at one point, and I'm not saying like, and I told her too, I was like, I'm not a doctor, go to the doctor, like take antibiotics, like I'm not a doctor, I can't claim anything like that. And she was like, no, I understand. She's like, I just feel called to just do this, I don't want to do antibiotics right now. So like that was totally her decision, not my input. um but we did a session, and the blood cleared out. She didn't have blood in her urine after that. And
I mean,
um
it is so interesting when you do think about like the human body made up of mostly water, and
mhm,
how frequency or vibration, and as we're made up of, just the vibration and the sound around us, like it affects, it makes sense that it affects inside the body in some frequency because of just how the body is made up. When I think that's when I sat with that for a while. I mean, and everything like
mhm.
just a lot of different forms of energy work, play into kind of the vibration and increasing your vibration. I think when I sat with that for a minute, it made sense. Like it starts to make sense of why this work affects the body, why it helps to heal the body. I mean, the
Mhm.
human body is meant to heal itself anyway,
Yes.
but how these energetic practices help set the body up for healing makes scientific sense. It makes historical, like it all like starts to come together, right? Like I think that was
Yeah.
really an aha for me too, and has transformed my that physical body. I'm going through. I've talked to a lot of friends about this, but like not chronic pain, but perimenopause, which is inc- incredibly uncomfortable and with a
Mhm.
lot of symptoms that have just been that are hard to explain and hard to even like notice it right away, like what it's from. But my spiritual work has helped improve my symptoms so much to the point where I just can't not pay attention. It's just when it's
Yeah.
so transformative within your own physical body, it's like, okay, there's something here. There's got to be something.
Exactly, exactly. You can't deny that when especially when you have like your own results. And when people see their own results firsthand, they're just like, okay. That's why even the skeptics, like usually, like you said, you were very skeptical at
Mhm.
first too. So yeah, even the skeptics, when something works, you can't deny what's working.
And when you're that uncomfortable and you're willing to think outside the box or look in a different place, it can be really, incredible. And it was life changing for me, truly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I love the work that you're doing, Ashley. I think it's incredible. It's so important. I think that the world is more open to maybe more open minded than it's been in a while of
Yeah.
thinking about this work differently, maybe approaching it from even mainstream individuals who are like, I'm not that, like, don't label me as woo woo. Like, that's not my, there's the, some are still open to the potential benefit, right? And I imagine that's all you're looking for is people who might be just open minded to the possibility that it might actually help. So,
Yeah.
I love that. And I encourage our listeners to definitely think about that, spend time, ponder that idea, especially if you're in a position where it's so uncomfortable. Life is difficult, whether mentally or maybe physically on the body, but like it's so beneficial. So,
Yeah.
Ashley, is there anything else you want to leave with our audience before we wrap up? But I also want to make sure that people know where to reach you. So can you tell us first where they can find you?
Yeah, so my website is ashleysholistic.com. So it's Ashley's with an S, AShleySholisticSolutions.com.
Great. And
So
we'll put that in
Ashley's,
the episode notes. So if you didn't write that down, go to the episode notes. You can find it there. There's
yes. And I'm also on Facebook a bit, and I'm going to be getting on Facebook more so now. I'm actually living as a nomad now,
ah,
traveling
yeah,
because
that's
I'm able to do my work all online. Everybody's virtual at this point because they get the same results. So yeah,
amazing.
I will be on more on Facebook now too. But yeah, there's testimonies on Facebook. There's testimonies on my website. I'm working with my website guy to upload a lot more testimonies because I have a lot more that needs to get added. But yeah, you can definitely go to my website, schedule a free consult. We can have a free chat and see if we're a good fit to work together. And also, anybody that's listening from here, just say that you found me through Andrea's podcast, and I will give you an extra percentage off of your
Awesome.
first session.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Ashley, for taking this time with me. I really appreciate the work that you're doing out there in the world. We're all connected. It does have a ripple effect. And so the sum of that work or the impact is much, much greater than the sum of its parts. So thank you for all the work that you
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
take care. Thanks for joining me on today's episode. If you'd like to explore what your life could look like when your business and life are aligned with what you're really meant to do, get a business audit. I'll personally review your business, look at your social accounts, and give you some precise direction on what's working and how to create even more impact and income. Simply go to AndreaDelaCerda.com, navigate to work with me and select the business audit. Again, that's AndreaDelaCerda.com. Work with me and then select the business audit. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe. That way more content like this can be shared with you as soon as new episodes drop. Thanks so much for joining again. See you soon. Take care.